Hey, this is River Knight. I'm one of the co-founders here at Developing Australian Communities, and I'm joined here, of course, with my other co-founder, Mike. How you going?
Thanks. Good. Thanks, mate. Very well. Happy New Year to you and everybody tuning in.
Yeah. Look, we thought we'd hop online once a week and give everyone a bit of an update of what we're getting up to with developing Australian communities, all the different projects we're doing, because we're just finding it so much that it'd probably be a bit easier just to have a chat each week and just fill people in. What have you been doing on the DAC front, Mike?
Oh, mate, no shortage of things happening. When you run the biggest disability and NDIS related expos across Australia, where we had over 23,100 people attend across our expos last year, and you're launching a virtual platform that's connecting the nation, there's no shortage of things happening. But no, things are in full swing at the moment. We've got the Brisbane Disability Connection Expo sponsored by Easy Healthcare coming up on the 1st and 2nd of March. We're at close to 80% capacity for exhibitors on that front. We've hit a record number of sponsors. We just had our 20th sponsor join this week, and things are really moving at a pace of knots. So it's quite exciting that we've done a bit of analysis over the last year where we've seen that with visitor growth over the expos about 30 to 60% per region. So with 6,000 plus people last year, we expect well over 7,000 this year, and I think a lot of attention, River, we're putting a lot of energy into that at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, and of course with COVID chilling out a little bit, people a bit more comfortable coming out to spaces, but it's kind of the reason why we have such a huge, massive space at our expos compared to the others, so that people can space out a little bit. Events teams already getting those calls from people panicking, saying, "Oh, I forgot my booth. Did they book my booth? Did my staff book my booth? Not happy, Jan. We really wanted to be at the front next to the exit there, or at the entrance. So at the moment, it's a bit too sad, too bad, so sad for anyone who gets in too late. But I've got a few spots left, but we're allocating all of them, and we're now getting all the services waking up after Christmas saying, "Oh, whoa, hang on, March 1 and 2." Friday, Saturday is not very far away. So everyone's just starting to wake up and get in contact and check. And I'm getting a lot of managers checking their staff have actually booked them in. So, of course, you look down below, you'll see the link, of course, to register if you haven't yet, because you don't want to be missing out on the biggest event for the disability and NDIS space in Queensland's history, really. There's some wonderful smaller events going on throughout the year. But we want to make sure everyone is there for the big one. And of course, we've got a new minister for disability here in Queensland, and we're looking forward to getting the team, coming in and opening. So I guess without the boring stuff taking up too long, we've certainly got some great sponsors on board. Easy Healthcare is helping us a lot, and of course, we're going to try and marry it up for those that can't get to the event who are in regional parts of Queensland. We've got the virtual Disability Connection Expo rolling out. We're going in full swing in January. We've had a bit of a slow start. We've been so interrupted with the COVID, but of course, with the Royal Commission and of course the NDIS review, that's been a big one. We've been so busy. I've been on so many radio stations and so many TV programs, just talking about that. We're now launching the virtual space because you would have saw me, and the advocates that we helped get together for the project during the week. Do you catch that one, Mike?
Yeah, that was beautiful. There's a great slot there, and it's amazing how quickly the media picks up on that, which is why we need to know the stories of the sponsors and the exhibitors who work with us, because like literally, I think it was 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and he said, "I get this message. Guess who's going to be on the project tonight?" So
Yeah. I got a
it
phone
happens
call
very
and they
quickly.
They said, "Oh, look, can we duck over and grab some bites?" And it's good working with places like the project because developing Australian communities has this really cool opportunity with working with so many thousands of service providers, and then, of course, advocacy groups where the media, because we do so much in the media, we get these phone calls who will just say, "Look, can we duck over with a film crew and just grab a bite?" And of course,
Yep.
it's great working with things like the project because I might only get 15 seconds of fame, but it means that we're able to then link in all those other really cool advocates into places like the project. And of course, the service providers that support us, we go out to those sponsors who are really leading the way and link them up with all of those media opportunities that pop up. But I thought I'd give everyone a bit of
Yeah.
a rundown of what's coming up for virtuals, if that's cool, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. Just as you're doing that, it might just be an interlude to that. I think just some of the latest thinking for us, just for everybody tuning in, is that we've had like the virtual platform is a very powerful platform, and for those who've been following our journey, attending the Queensland Disability Sector Awards, the Gala evenings that we run all over Australia, you'd know that the bigger purpose behind developing Australian communities is about raising the standards of the sector. It's about handing literally a microphone to sponsors, to exhibitors, to advocacy groups, to people with lived experience to help shape the conversation of how we can bring about sustainable change through a co-design focus. So big part of what you're going to see coming out this year in 2024 is about River and myself and sponsors and exhibitors just really getting together more, talking more collectively together. So River, give them a bit of an insight in terms of what's coming up in the near future.
Yeah, and of course, developing Australian communities and our events a little bit more a little different to some of the other things going on. Where got people like myself and the majority of our staff are people living with disabilities. So all our events and everything we're doing, the advocates that work with us, the difference is that we are events and we are projects that are created by people with disability, that delivered by people with disability, shaped by people with disability, and it makes it a lot more authentic. It's co-design, which isn't a group of providers talking about people with disabilities. It's about providers and people with disability in the same space working together. And that's what we're trying to work on. And of course, the virtual space makes that even easier. So this week, next week, you'll see a ton of stuff coming out online. So we're lucky enough to be given the chance to host the National Tourette Syndrome Association conference from 2023. So the TSA is the peak body for Tourette's in Australia, and with 1 in 10, it's a big population that it affects. And of course, there's amazing speakers that we're hosting in our virtual auditorium, which people will be able to go in and check out. That's going to be a free event, so people can go in there, check out all the amazing speakers, the doctors, professors, all the updates that teaching staff, service providers might need to link into. If you've missed it, of course, in this year's conference or last year's conference now, as we lead into this year's conference for the Tourette Syndrome Association, you can check out what happened last year. And of course, like all the other stuff in our auditorium there in the virtual space, you can go and access that for free. So that'll be launched. I'll be sharing that around. Both in Australia, but also internationally, because that's the really cool thing about that virtual platform, is that things can be accessed anywhere in the world, and it gives us the opportunity to showcase Australia. So we're launching that. That's about to be released, and everyone will be reminded to go in and check it out. We've got the full topic day all about Tourette syndrome in Australia and around the world from the world leaders in that space. We've also got some really cool sponsor spotlights coming up, where we've got sponsors that specialize in some really cool areas that are really important for us to talk about with the NDIS review and, of course, the Royal Commission recommendations. Because right now we're at that stage where we've had the Royal Commission, we've got the report, we've got the recommendations, we've got the NDIS review. The governments have now officially doing their response, which is to officially say that, yes, they're responding officially. And what we really need is the action plan. So, how are we going to shape SDA? How are we going to deal with accommodation? How are we going to manage the pricing? What are we going to do with registered providers, unregistered providers? What are we doing with all those things in detail? So some of the sponsors are coming on board. There'll be some really cool pieces and interviews and discussions around some of the stuff that they're leading around the country. We've got new halls opening up. So we've got ACT, we've got North Coast, New South Wales, and of course, South Australia, Northern Territory, and Tasmania. So ACT and North Coast, New South Wales, we have a really cool sponsor for those ones I'll mention in a sec. And we've also got a really cool leaderboard prize. So once a month, for people that go in that virtual space, you get points every time you do something. So look at something, click on a booth, read something, watch a video, you get these points. And at the end of each month, we're going to be tallying up the top 20 scorers in that space, and we've got some really cool prize draws. So ShopperCart is helping us out. They're going to be auctioning off, or not auctioning off, but there'll be a prize draw by ShopperCart for the top 20 to go in and hopefully win one of those really cool products that ShopperCart has. If you haven't seen them, they're a game
Amazing.
changer for going shopping, getting your stuff back into the car, folding stuff up, getting into the boot when you don't have that mobility support that you might need. So people can go and check that out. We'll also be, of course, advertising all of those exhibitors that are in there and now have booths. And we have free booths, of course, for advocacy groups. So we're calling out to all the advocacy groups to get in there, set up their free spaces in each hall around Australia. And of course, talking to advocacy groups about what's going on in each state. So the sponsors and some of the keen service providers and groups in each state, we're going to be asking them to really share with us every month a great state update. What's going on in WA? We'll have a chat with St Jude's and say, look, what is happening at that space, at that level around government, local government, federal government, initiatives going on there that aren't NDIS related, but contribute to the disability space. We'll do it in Queensland, all the other different states, just to see, because everyone's doing things a little bit different. And of course, we'll do a roundup for advocacy groups. And of course, the topic days that will be kicking off as well will be starting to go off. So we'll be doing full day online conferences on autism. It's SDA, housing, behaviour support, carer support topics, provider support topics, even just things like how do good providers really manage the risk of abuse and neglect within the service setting, getting some great examples from providers about who does a really good job of that, because it's a risk that everyone needs to be aware of. And of course, we'll have live days crossing over to our expos, March 1 and 2 here in Brisbane, talking to some of those leaders. And of course, we've got our podcast that we're going to be developing. And of course, the sector awards will be coming up. And we'll certainly be looking for sponsors and support for the sector awards that do come up too. Did you want to give a bit of a rundown what we're doing with the Gala soon on that first night of Expo on March 1?
It is always a fantastic evening. I mean, it's been growing year on year. And it's been, fabulous to have the support of the sector. And it's really an evening where we shine the light on those who are working within the sector and those advocates. A new innovation this year is we're really promoting the advocates, like the Child Advocacy Awards, and we've got other advocacy awards to celebrate the unsung heroes who are just doing such amazing work within the sector. So nominations in, we've hit record number of nominations already for Queensland. Sydney will be happening in May, and then we'll be going to in October. We'll be in Melbourne, and so Easy Healthcare has been the sponsor for Brisbane and Melbourne. We've still got an opportunity in Sydney for anyone who might want to get involved in that. It's a great opportunity to show your support and raise your awareness. But it's going to be a fabulous evening, and it's always a good night of really just sort of spending a moment to stop, to pause, to recognize the great work that people are doing within the sector, and whilst also then kicking off our shoes or wheels and having a bit of fun on the dance floor as well. So it's always a good evening. People have an absolute ball, and it's great seeing all the advocacy groups that get involved, like QDN here in Queensland. So looking forward to a really fantastic evening.
We've got Baseline, of course, who's our musicians for the night. An amazing singer there at Baseline. He's also fantastic at running events. And of course, everyone gets a table. You get a table, you take the staff there, you force them to have a break and have a night off. I know what it's like working in the sector. You don't stop and take a breath. Because most service providers, most advocacy groups, most people in that space are just focused on looking after and supporting other people. They don't stop themselves and just take a break. So everyone's buying tables in there. Bring along your staff, do it as a reward or just a chance to recognize some of the work that they're doing. Bring along your participants. We've got advocacy groups there. And of course, we're looking for sponsors still for some of those awards. So each award we get a sponsor for. So we've got Easy Healthcare supporting the event as our major sponsor. And of course, each one of those awards, we look for sponsors. And this year, we've got the 3 advocacy awards. So we've got sector advocacy. We've got nominations for someone to be recognized in that space, which is, of course, the bigger picture stuff, policy change. We've got adult advocacy, people working with adults, around human rights and all the stuff that goes with that. And of course, our child advocacy award, which is, people working in that child space as advocates, which is a tough gig if you've ever done it before, working in child safety often. And we're looking for sponsors for those awards. So of course, check out below, have a look at the links down there. We'll make sure that they're all there for everyone because we're still looking for some advocates. And what we try to do is those advocates that we recognize who are generally people living with disability, working as advocates in the sector. We're also looking at a money prize this year. So we're going to be putting some funds it's towards recognizing and supporting their work, who, yeah, and I guess most advocates don't get, paid the best dollars, but they're certainly doing it for a good reason, and we want to be able to take that chance to recognise. And it's all about the frontline workers, the frontline staff, when it comes to those awards. One of the things that we've been doing up here in Queensland that I've been doing a bit of, I'm about to get into it with New South Wales and some of those other states, is been going along to some of the advocate group consulting that's been going on. So here in Queensland government, like a lot of the other state governments, have been going through each one of those areas of recommendation from the Royal Commission, to look at what do we need to do here at state level, outside of NDIS. So disability services, how do they work well with HR, with the Department of Health, child safety, education. That's been really cool. So I've been very busy with that. And I know, QDN, for example, have been doing huge amounts of work here in Queensland. And of course, some of those other advocate groups around Australia are also giving us some updates. We've got people living with disability WA that are doing some huge work around there. We've got Australian Network on Disability doing some work all around Australia. And of course, we'll be hearing through the virtual space a lot of those updates, I guess, from what's going on, because people just don't realise and don't see a lot of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes until it's ready to be released. And if you're an advocate group, make sure you're reaching out to us, of course, for that virtual space.
Absolutely.
The
So
government reps too, we're getting a lot of them coming through. And what we want to see is a lot more of that connection. And that's where we kind of came up with that connection word for our vets, is because by connecting, you kind of put the brains trust together and come up with a solution very, very quickly, which takes a lot less time than decades of work changing government policy, because the work and the change that happens needs to happen on the ground really quickly by service providers. So getting some really good support there. How's things going over on the front with the other expos and events coming up, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, Mike?
yeah, full steam ahead. So we're seeing a big traction year on year with it overall. So long and short is that we've got, I think the number of sponsors has grown from 32 in 2022 to 76 last year. We've already got over 50 on board this year. The numbers in terms of exhibitors is looking to exceed last year's numbers. And most importantly, we've got more partnerships being forged at the moment as well. So we're working a lot more strategically with industry groups and advocacy groups, and really want them to be involved and at the forefront to help steer the involvement of their communities, because they can help shape the direction of the sector overall. So we've got some exciting things happening on that front. And I think what you're going to see more and more this year is that we've actually been mixing up a lot with the range of sponsorship programs and packages and ways that people can get involved in the expos. So we've got a lot of packages that are designed around marketing. So if you want to put a marketing engine underneath your business to really drive things, we've got solutions for that. Through to if you want to brand a section of the expo, like an activity sponsor, or would love to see somebody coming along to do like a Lego play pit, or perhaps like a games and technology sponsor, an accessibility and wayfinding direction sponsors. So we're coming up with some new ways to showcase and to make it more valuable for the visitors attending the expos, but also for those who are willing to invest a bit more to support the expo, because these events, they're self-funded by us and all the great exhibitors and sponsors that come along. So the sponsorship revenue does a huge significant help in order to keep bringing these events and making them bigger and exciting. And as you can tell, like River and I don't sit idle too long. We've got no shortage of ideas. Our team is constantly getting feedback from the expos. Like we did a big feedback work. The events team did some fantastic work with just asking exhibitors and visitors, what did you like? What didn't you like? And one of the bits of feedback that came out, that people said, we love that it's so big, didn't realize there's so many people there, but we just need a few more spaces to just relax and recharge. So we've come up with like a recharge zones and a chill out zone area for the expo as well. So we're really innovating consistently, and it really it's so pleasing to see the growing support of the providers and sponsors and exhibitors around Australia. So thank you for that. And we're looking forward to just a fantastic 2024. So
We
looking
don't
forward
don't
to
do the
more of these
hall and
updates.
pamphlet things, do we? We're not really good at a small hall and pamphlet. People come along
No,
because we've got the massive stage that runs all the community performances all
mate,
day. We've got and something that's a little bit different, like you mentioned before, that a lot of providers and people may not realize is this year you'll see that those I guess specialist hubs, so as well as our specialist partners. So
that's right.
as you
Yeah,
come to the
yeah, correct.
event, you'll see a bit of a list. So people come in and they go, okay, there's 6,000 service providers in Queensland. Well, which one do I go with? Okay, well, there's 250 something to 300 in the room at the expo. Where do I start? So those expo partners are a great list of people that specialize in a particular area. So you go, hey, who's our expo partner for SDA? Who's our expo partner for community participation? Great starting point. And there's a nice list there that people can use. And then, of course, the hubs are really cool because you go, well, where can I go and just spend time in a space that's all about a particular thing that I might want to find out about? So we've got specialist hub partners this year where we've got someone doing something all about SDA. We've got something all about, recreation, getting out in
Still,
the.
so we've got Marco Polo, yeah, who's doing still, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You want to find out about SIL, you just go to that hub and it's a hub of information. It's not just another booth, it's a hub. So some of those providers that are out there realize that, just having a booth and then getting Bob to sit in front of the booth playing on his iPhone all day and wonder why no one talks to him, is a stupid way to market and just wastes the opportunity to talk to people because they don't want to interrupt poor Mark on the phone. So what we find that works really well is that we have these hubs and people engage really well and they go, hey, let's spend some time here, find everything I can possibly find out about that service type, how it works. And then, people can then go away and look at all the other providers, but the hubs are really popular and we've got a little bit of room for some more providers if they want to come on board and do a few hubs in other areas that we haven't got covered already. A little bit of room for that. A little bit of room for expo partners. And of course, the what we sometimes call the Ask an Expert Hub or the NDIS Information Hub. We have this huge space that's got people in it all day, every day, where you can just come and ask your questions. So people can come there with their plan and go, how do I apply for this new piece of equipment? Why does NDIS always say no? How do I go through this? What's the process for that? Go to the Brains Trust there. It's a free service with all the professionals there, and people can just ask those questions. And of course, if they're not looking for the service providers or they've talked to everyone they can possibly talk to, they've gone to the information hub, they've checked out all the specialist partners as well as the specialist hubs, they've bounced on the trampoline. We've also got free coffee cart sitting there waiting for people that need to recharge to keep going because it's a 2-day event and most people are coming both days, I find, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, exactly. And so we've got GNA Services, who's been a fantastic sponsor who provides, nursing and support workers all across Australia. They want to show their support. So they're sponsoring the coffee cart. So everyone can get a free hot drink or coffee throughout the course of the expo. And as you mentioned, River, one thing that makes our expos really different is it's a showcase of abilities. So on our main stage, there'll be a performance every half an hour. It's interactive. We encourage people to get involved. And thanks to Velocity Support Services, they're going to be bringing that to us as well. So, it's a really good call. Like the idea, we've been asking ourselves at the end of last year, how do we make this space more valuable and enriching for everybody involved? And the specialist hubs and the specialist partners is a really big innovation because a lot of people come to the expo, they're going there for a purpose, for an intent. So we've got the SIL specialist hub sponsored by Marco Polo. We've got complex and high intensity care specialist hub, which is brought to you by Kangaroo Care as well. We've got others. We've got our STA, a specialist partner with Haven Care. So there's some really great, you'll find coming this year is you're going to find more visibility and awareness of the things that people are looking for. So feel free if you're an exhibitor, you want to, or a provider, just reach out, chat to our team. We can see the latest kit if you've got any questions on that. But if you're a visitor and a participant or family member or someone from the sector just wanting to come along and visit, make sure you check out the resources in advance and on the day, because I think you're going to find that it's going to give you a clearer sense of where to go, how to access what information that's important and relevant to you.
And of
So
course, NDIS will be there as well. We'll have all those different government agencies that you can link into, and you'll be able to get that support directly from NDIS. So of course, he'll be there. We've got the Expo Help Desk right at the front door. So one of the things we've changed too is as you walk in that door, you run straight into this massive desk that's called Expo Help, which will be there for bumping day for all the exhibitors getting ready, and of course on the Expo day. And who's sponsoring that? Of course.
we've got VisualCare, who is
Yeah.
our Expo Help Desk sponsor. So,
So you
and they're
can
across all
certainly,
expos.
and they're a great support. They've helped us out at Perth as well, and we're looking at
Amazing.
getting some good information for people, because people come up to the help desk and they go, "I'm looking for this service type. Where do I go? Can I get a map?" So you at the door, you get your magazine that has all the different service providers in there. It'll list the hubs. It'll list the partners. You'll be able to find your way around. We'll have maps there at the door. We'll have a little show bag of bits and pieces there from some of the other service providers and of course our sponsors. And the gang there will be able to point you where you need to go. And I just wanted to say, keep it coming, all those sponsors that are working with me right now. I'm getting some great stories because we're doing a lot of media releases constantly every day to media on topics around NDIS, the changes, the reviews, the Royal Commission. And it's just, I'm just getting flooded with them. And I just got to say, keep them coming, because seeing all of the stuff that all the providers are doing is really helping shape the conversation that we're having around Australia as we make these changes. Because we're doing the changes on the ground, and people like Easy Healthcare, all those sponsors that support us, are the ones that are helping to lead that change. So if you're looking to narrow those 6,000 people in Queensland down a bit, come to the expo and find a few hundred that are doing awesome stuff. And of course, check out our sponsors who are really leading that space. And of course, if you're wanting to be a sponsor and you haven't got your booth yet, be quick, because that map is filling up
Hustle.
very fast.
Yeah.
No
But
worries. I think
cool.
we
Well,
might have
that's
to wrap
some
it up
good
there,
updates.
hey?
You can I think so. I think so. As you can tell, there's quite a few updates, and we're going to be expect more of this year. River and I are making a commitment to really just making sure we're having more conversations, more visible within the sector, and we're looking for organizations who also have a voice. And those who have an opinion about what needs to change and have experience to back it up. So if that resonates with you, feel free to get in touch and see how we might be able to collaborate. But River, for now, from my side, over and out. Thank you for. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative, and we'll look forward to seeing you really soon.
And a week's a small time in our space here at Developing Australian Communities. So we'll give you another update next week of all the crazy ideas that we have had and what we're working on. And of course, check out the links below. You'll be able to find what you're looking
Yeah.
for. And of course, keep reaching out if you'd like to get involved. And one thing I will ask is, if you're a service provider, don't wait until the day before the expo to decide what you're going to bring. Start packing up that stuff. Do you need your furniture? Do you need to order your furniture? Have you got all your stuff printed? All of those things are really important. And of course, the events team's there to reach out to. We've got a phone number that Naomi manages that you can call us on anytime. And the crew's just working hard. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at the expo.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions you'd like us to address next week or anything of that nature, feel free to drop it in the comments. We'll look to do that, and stay tuned for a lot more exciting updates, not just about what we're up to, but as Rivers said, about what's happening within the sector and how we're actually going to bring about sustainable change. So looking forward to an exciting year.
No worries. See you later.
Over and